aviation, another industry where India is very aspirational, and in order to ensure that the flights in fact do reach where they are supposed to, intended to, on their destinations on time, DGCA has now issued show cause notices to Air India and SpiceJet for diverting their flights in a very foggy condition, especially from Delhi airport, flagging that there seems to be a lack of trained pilots on the end of Air India and SpiceJet, essentially suggesting and asking these airlines to respond as to why they don't have enough trained pilots for the flights that are going to either take off or land in places which are foggy, and why are they not able to do so, knowing that these weather conditions are repetitive. It is going to happen every January, every February, every year.
Yeah, so what really happened was, Shweta, between 25th of December, Christmas Day, and 28th of December 2023, as many as 58 flights were diverted, which were due to land at the Delhi airport, but because of fog conditions, they were diverted. Now, all modern aircrafts have got a technology called Cat-2 and Cat-3, two versions, which assist the pilots in landing in those foggy conditions. So even when you have low visibility, these instruments on board the modern aircrafts assist pilots in ensuring that the aircraft can be safely landed even in foggy conditions. Now, the problem really is not the fact that there aren't enough trained pilots. In fact, when I was speaking to some of my pilot friends this morning, about 50 to 60% of the pilots in any fleet operator are Cat-2 and Cat-3 trained.
Okay.
So the problem, and that is something that DGCA has also highlighted, the problem was actually with rostering. And it seems, and we'll have to wait for Air India and SpiceJet to respond to that show cause notice, but it seems the problem really was that the rostering was not done appropriately, ensuring that flights coming into Delhi or coming into North India in runways which are laden with fog or likely to be laden with with fog, have the pilots who are trained for Cat-2 and Cat-3 instruments to be in the cockpit. Now, despite knowing that this climatic condition is absolutely normal in Delhi, especially every January.
Which
is why every airfield has its own ATC and has its own Met department, which is in direct communication with all airlines who are likely to come into that particular airport. So if there is a foggy condition and if there is a build-up of some sort of fog, that communication is pretty much real-time, hours in advance, that weather is building up. And this sort of rostering needs to be dynamic, and it usually is. And hence, the problem really seems to be rostering, not ensuring, not forecasting fog-like conditions, not paying heed perhaps to meteorological departments, forecast on foggy conditions, and hence putting untrained Cat-2, Cat-3 pilots in the cockpit. And every civil aircraft, passenger aircraft, has got two pilots. At least one of them usually is the captain, is the senior guy, and the senior person in the cockpit needs to be Cat-2 and Cat-3 trained.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to wait for the reply from Air India and SpiceJet whether it was a shortage of pilots. And I was speaking to my pilot friends who also said that, in fact, the Christmas to New Year season, unlike the rest of the world, is not actually a holiday season for airline pilots. If anything, it is quite the reverse, because that is when more people are traveling, and that is when more number of pilots are on active duty instead of being on leave at home or vacationing themselves.
Very interestingly, so the next time an airline says that the flight had to be diverted due to weather conditions, it's most likely because they don't have a pilot who is trained to to take to the flight or to reach or to make sure that the flight reaches to its destination in low visibility.
That's right.
So essentially, Air India and SpiceJet will have to now respond to that show cause notice which has been issued by DGCA.